Welcome back everybody to the TTRL Tier 3 as we're here tonight for the Bahrain Grand Prix. As we're about to line up on the grid, we've got Shane here starting on pole position with Devils alongside him on the front row, Jam and Richie Chapper on the second row. Richie doing the usual that we've become accustomed to from the Williams driver here, starting on the hard tyres for the beginning of this race, looking to go long into that first stint. It's a strategy that we've seen used many times by Richie. And as to be expected here tonight, a few different choices in terms of tyre choices. We've got Ev the Legend here on the soft tyres. Hatsune Miku and Schumacher are both doing what Rich Chapper's doing and starting on the hard tyres, but these guys with a bit more of a few more faces on the dice to be rolled, being in 18th and 20th places. Richie Chapper up there in the thick of it is going to have to really try and survive on those hard tyres. Here we are then, lights are about to come on here at the head of the grid. We're moments away from the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix here at the TTRL Tier 3. And it is lights out and we're underway. A Red Bull has pulled over immediately there. Ocean Blade was not interested in taking the start there. As down towards turn 1 we go. Shane has the lead as Devils there on the outside. Bit of a luck up there on the inside there from the Williams and Rich Chapper, but holds on for fourth place. So Nello's got a good run here as they come out of turn 3, and they're going to be side by side here. Nello's got ahead, and now look, Dave looking to try and capitalise as well to the outside, but Rich is on the inside here trying to make a move back up into fourth place here. Can't get it done, and Aston here on the outside's got a bit of momentum here. Dave looking to try and make the move here, can't do it, and Dave now getting pushed out by Zainu, who dives down the inside up into P6, and Abu Bakar going to be there, getting up into 7th place as well here. Dave managing to no, he can't stay ahead of the McLaren there of J.A. Holly. He loses out to Blazer Guns and J.A. Holly there. Now he's got the Haas of Stevie Mack looking back to the outside. J.A. Holly on the inside there of Dave into the downhill left-hander as J.A. Holly almost tagging Blazer Guns there and gets a horrendous exit as a result. Now Dave is back up into 9th place, but Dave there having a nightmare of a first lap after trying to have a look there at Richie as they're going through the first sector of the first lap, but Richie down to P5 behind Nello, who managed to nick that position off him in the first few corners. But Devil's leading the race ahead of Shane with Jam there in 3rd place, Nello completing the top 4, and then almost a second of a gap back to Richie there on those hard tyres. Oh no, as somebody's binned it around the background. That's Abu Bakar, who seems to be out of the race here towards the end of the first lap with a catastrophic incident there. He manages to keep it going, so he hasn't got terminal damage and is continuing on as we see Elijah's gone ahead of Ev the Legend under caution, under safety car, mind you. So that could be a penalty there, I'm not sure, or it may be that actually Ev the Legend had passed Elijah after the safety car was brought out, and that was just a return of positions. But nonetheless, we see Carl and Berza and a few others here into the pits by the looks of it as well. We've got Ev the Legend, Abu Bakar, no surprise there. Ocean Blade, what on earth happened there? Off of the line, it just went nowhere. I think it might have been a false start, and in fact Ocean Blade has retired from the race, which is bizarre because obviously, you know, if you've had you've got a perfect opportunity here with a safety car to get in, get the penalty served and just crack on with the race, but Ocean Blade's decided to throw in the towel here at the end of the first lap. But well, bit of a chaotic opening lap to the race really, but Devils is now leading the race ahead of Shane, so had got ahead somewhere on the first lap, we're not sure where. The battle in the mid-pack was raging on, and the battle for the lead actually changed hands towards the end of the first lap, I think, because I saw it halfway through and it was still Shane leading at that point. But nonetheless, that is the situation at the moment. So it's the Sauber of Devils leading the race here on lap 2. Shane in 2nd place, Jam 3rd with Nello 4th, and Richie Chapper on the hard tyres currently P5 at the moment. Obviously with a safety car this early on in the race, it's not going to really give you much strategic options because you can't get the hards to the end from here. If you're planning on 2 stopping, it might be worth doing putting a set of mediums on, then you can do a two stints on the mediums, but then again you'd have to go quite a long way on the medium tyres, so that's probably not going to be an option here for all of these guys. But we see the drivers who had damage have all come into the pits, the likes of Carl, Berza, Ev the Legend, Abu Bakar. Obviously we saw crashing through the penultimate corner there as they were coming towards the end of the first lap. J.A. Holly has just retired from the race as Dave's got a 10-second penalty for crashing into J.A. Holly. So that's why J.A. Holly is out of the race. What's the damage like on Dave's Aston? doesn't look like Dave's coming into the pit, so clearly the damage not severe enough for Dave to need to come in and get that fixed. Schumacher now into the pits at the end of lap 2, so going to get the hard tyres off, which is not really what you want, because the hard tyres obviously were designed to get you a long way into the race. That's now not going to work for him. He'll definitely have to pit again, because you're not going to get a set of medium tyres all the way to the flag from here. I think that can be absolutely guaranteed. So lap 3 of the race, this should be the last lap under safety car, because it came out on lap 1. Obviously we've had 2, at the end of this lap we'll have had 2 full laps under it. Hopefully Schumacher can catch up to the back of the pack before we get to that final safety car line, but if we don't, race control might have to just call it, because he's not that far behind, to be honest, and everyone else is on the train of cars. So let's just hope and pray that Schumacher is able to catch up through these next few corners, and that we can get this race back underway, because to be honest, a race spent under the safety car is a race wasted, in my opinion. You know, you've got a set amount of race distance that you've got to cover, and doing it at these sorts of speeds is really not what the fans pay to see. It's not what me as a commentator wants to see. It's not what anyone really comes to witness when they get excited about Formula 1. I think they've got to call it in before the braking zone of the final corner. Here we go. Yeah, they've called the safety car in, so that's excellent news, and we'll be going racing in just a moment. So it'll be Devils to control the pace, back them up, and try and catch them unawares in a second. So are we going racing out the final corner? I think we are. Yep, we're underway. So Devils foot to the floor from racing here, as it looks like Richie missed the start a little bit here. He's already dropped off of the back of the top 4 ever so slightly, but they're all racing down towards turn 1. Jam's got a good run here, a little bit too far away into turn 1 just at the moment, as we can now see Zainu here once again sizing up Richie like he did on the start to the race proper, but he has nowhere to go there, and tucks in for the time being. We've got Berza there getting ahead of Ev the Legend, as they're side by side here, and Ev the Legend trying to keep himself there on the inside. As they come now down towards turn 4, is Ev the Legend going to be able to make this move? I think he might well be able to here. Berza giving the space on the inside, and they're still side by side through this next sequence of corners, but Ev the Legend there does get that move back done up into 14th place. As we go back to leaders here, because we've got Devils and Jam separated by not much. We've got Salates there moving ahead of Elijah up into the points paying positions at this moment in time. We've got Dave there getting ahead of Blazer Guns into this downhill left-hander, and that is always a job done, because Blazer Guns has got a decent exit here coming down this little straight. Oh, it's a medium length straight. It's a bit smaller than the start-finish straight, but a little bit too far away there going into the corner, and for the time being Dave is holding on to that one. Here are the leaders coming through the final few corners here of lap 4. That's Ev the Legend really close on the back of Carl right now, as they come down the little straight which leads down towards the final corner, trying to distract Carl a little bit here, having little looks in the mirrors, keeping him on his toes at the moment is Ev the Legend. Here we go then, down the start finish straight. Oh, as we see a bit of a slide there from Ev the Legend, living dangerously there for sure. Here we come then, down the start finish straight once again, getting closer, but too far back here. Oh, he's going to go for a lunge. Wow, I was not expecting that. That was a speculative move, and it's actually paid off beautifully there. As in the background, we can see Berza getting ahead of Abubakar as well, up into 15th place. So 2 moves in the space of a couple hundred meters there in terms of the proximity to each other, these 2 battles. We can see Abubakar trying to come back at him here. Berza into the next corner, as they're still side by side. Great fight here between these 2 drivers. Berza's going to try and keep himself there on the outside. He's probably got that high ground here through this next sequence, and indeed he does. And Berza there manages to get P15 back there off of the Haas driver, but great fight there between those 2 through that sequence of corners. It's not easy to go side by side there. We saw Hamilton and Rosberg do it back in 2014 in that iconic duel in the desert between the 2 Mercedes drivers, those 2 championship contenders that season. But nonetheless, we've got Stevie there making a move on Blazer Guns here into this left-hand corner. But Blazer Guns is keeping it there and has managed to hold on to P8 here. Lovely little return move there into the right-hander, and at the moment Blazer Guns is still maintaining 8th place, and he's also going to have DRS on Dave as well, so that will be able to help him defend from the Haas car going down the straight. So that should keep him in good stead for the time being. Leaders coming over the line here to start lap 6 of the race, and Jam has got a heck of a run here, and he looks to the outside, and Devils there had made a late move to try and defend it, but he was to no avail there at all, and the Visa Cash App driver into the lead of the race here. Devils is now going to try and use the DRS to make the immediate return here, and he's got a good chance of it because he's got good momentum here coming out of turn 3. Down towards 4 we go, up the inside. Devils makes the move, and up the inside he goes into the lead of the race once again here. So these two trading places at the moment. Has he got the move done though, because Jam's still there and he's not giving this one up lightly. I think the Devils should be able to see this one out through the next few corners. There's a bit of lag going on here between these two at the moment, which is not going to be ideal at all. But at the moment, Devils is back up into the lead of the race here as these two continue to put on a great show out the front of the race. Shane, the driver who started on pole position, is down to 4th place here in his opening few laps, so he has gone backwards here. Nello obviously got ahead of Richie Chapper. Zainu followed him through. Nello's now ahead of Shane as well, so into P3 at the moment. At the moment on the podium here is Nello, so driving a very, very strong race in his opening few laps. Jam here is going to be trying to come back at Devils down this start-finish straight in a few moments' time, having gained the lead and then lost it quite quickly. But on board here with the V-carb car down towards the final corner, he's going to look to get a good exit here. If he can stay close down the start-finish straight, he'll be able to make that move relatively easily here. So here comes Jam with DRS here. He's going to now potentially look to the inside, no, to the outside he goes, and Jam there makes the move. Is he going to be dive bombed here by the Salvo? No, I don't think he is, and Jam there is up into the lead. But the crucial thing now, Devils gets the DRS down this little straight, or does he? Yes, he does. He definitely does. And Devils once again doing exactly what he did in the previous lap, able to use that DRS to make that return move. It's a perfect counter attack initiation, that DRS, because you fall behind at just the right moment there, the detection point just after the braking zone, so you can immediately get the position back, as we see Stevie Mack there making a move on Blazer Guns as well, going through that next sequence of corners. So Stevie Mack up into 8th place there in that one. Carl also putting up onto the back of Joe Louis. Joe Louis not having the race here tonight, down in 11th place. Oh, as Blazer Guns has stacked it into the wall there, having just been passed there by Stevie Mack, and is now out of the race. What a shame there for Blazer Guns. And that has gone very unfortunately indeed there. So that could be another safety car. So yeah, we've got yet another safety car here tonight for this Bahrain Grand Prix here at the Torque Titans Racing League for Tier 3 here for round 5 of this 13 round season for season 3. Last race before Christmas. I don't know if it's the last race of the year. I haven't actually had time to look at the calendar yet, so I'm not quite sure if they're racing next week. It'll obviously be during the holiday season, or otherwise known as the Christmas holidays. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to find that out on the Discord shortly. But Devils into the pits, so is Jam, so is Nello, Shane, Zainu. A lot of the drivers coming into the pits here. Stevie Max Alates, Joe Louis as well. So a lot of drivers coming into the pits here on this, well, first sort of viable chance to make a pit stop under a safety car, because the first safety car was very, very early on indeed, at a time in the race where it would be probably quite sacrificial to one's strategy to consider bringing it into the pits. So it makes sense now to do it. It wouldn't have made sense before. But a long way to go here at Bahrain tonight. It will probably be a safety car out until lap 9 or 10, I would have thought. Maybe lap 10, because the pack's now pretty spread out. You can see there is a Haas coming down the start finish straight up. Abubakar, they're a little way behind the rest of them. Hello, Nana. Are you alright? Night night. Here we are then, guys, coming towards the end of the safety car period here. Safety car coming in at the end of this lap. We've had 4 laps under safety car here out of 9 so far, so hopefully we can get some solid racing stints under our belts pretty surely. But the interesting news now is that with 4 drivers staying out under the safety car, we've now got Richie Chapper leading the way. Carl and Berza, who came in earlier on under the first safety car, running in 3rd and 4th places just behind Dave. Dave's staying out on old medium tyres here, so Dave will probably be banking on a safety car pretty soon after this restart to try and get himself into this race. But here we are then, as we start lap 10 of the race with Richie Chapper on those hard tyres, leading since turn 1. Devil's there already getting ahead of Berza up into 4th. Although looks like Jam also getting ahead of Shane as well as Berza. Jam is up 2 places here on this restart, has had an absolute flyer here of a restart. We can see Nello here looking to attack on Shane as they're coming up towards turn 4. He's going to try and go around the outside there and gets tagged a little bit there by the V-carb of Berza as he goes around the outside of Shane, as Nello there with a beautiful move to up into 6th place. Jam though getting ahead of all those guys up into P5. Richie still leads ahead of Dave with Carl and Devils now flanking him. But looks like Berza here has absolutely gone backwards on this restart. Can't be too much of a surprise there, as those hard tyres have done a few more laps than the other guys. Although not that many more, because obviously a lot of those were under safety car. So we can't forget that. But nonetheless, they've done a bit more distance than the guys around him. Even under racing speeds. We see Devils here is trying to make a move here on Carl into this left-hander at the end of the little straight, and he might have made this move here. You know, I think he has done. Devils there gets himself up into 3rd place and can now try and chase down Richie Chapper and Dave, who are 2 seconds down the road. Dave just about sticking to the back of Richie at the moment, less than a second between these two, but those medium tyres are going to be filling the pace, and I reckon Richie is going to start to stretch him out a little bit here. And Devils needs to get a move on. So does Jam, and the likes of Nello and Shane as well need to get their skates on, because otherwise Richie Chapper's going to be gone. His tyres are older than these guys, but these guys have got to make some passes here, and they've got to try and bridge the gap, and also not fight each other. They've got to try and catch up to the leaders rather than fight each other here. Jam and Devils here battling here, coming through turns 2 and 3. And Devils there managing to stay ahead for the time being, but Jam's now got a bit of DRS. Yeah, saying that though, he's a little bit far away here. He's looking to the outside now into turn 4. He's not going to make that one happen just at the moment. Watching on board here with Shane as Jam goes for a cut back on Devils. Does he make it? No, he doesn't. That's still Devils there comfortably ahead. Berza there moving back ahead of Stevie into 7th place. Swoops around him there up into that position. So I knew they're ahead of Salates. Always we've got Berza there being dive bombed by Stevie. Stevie almost making that move complete. He's just about got that one done here through the next corner. And Stevie Mac there up into 7th place. Now we've got Joe Louis also getting ahead of Salates around the outside there with a lovely move. So I knew they're getting past both of them there. Salates here's managed to get a better exit than Joe Louis, but Joe Louis with the DRS and the slipstream here off of Zainu might be able to get around the outside here. It's going to be a tight one. He's going to have trust in that Ferrari driver, and Salate's still there on the outside of him through this next sequence of corners. Joe Louis does get that one back there up into 10th place. Now we've got Abu Bakar diving up the inside of Salates here up into 11th place, and Abu Bakar, he's had a few moments here, especially through that corner. It's a brave move to do that when you've already had a crash through that corner early on in the race. Salates has got Hatsune Miku, his teammate, here on the inside. He tries to go back around the outside here to Salates, and for the time being he's going to hold on for that one as we see a driver diving into the pits here coming out of the final corner. And that was Dave was one of them, the other one was Carl. And we've got Zainu there moving ahead of Berza into turn 1 and back up into 6th place here as we got a load of cars packed into a short space here. Salates there getting back ahead of Elijah, having been passed down the straight. In the meantime, Richie's gap is 3 seconds now over Jam, so he's continuing to really extend over the rest of these guys. Jam's now got a 3-second penalty as well, which is really going to hurt him when we get to the end of this race. He's in a battle for the win, potentially a podium, if it's not the win. But yeah, he's in real trouble here with that one. He's got Devils and Shane very much in that striking distance of that 3 seconds here as these guys fight it out over the podium places. Bit of a gap back to Stevie, who's got Zainu, Joe Louis, Berza, Abu Bakar, Salates, Elijah, Hatsune Miku and Dello all very close in contention behind him. So it's going to be an exciting rest of the race here, that's for certain. But Richie Chapper out the front has got nearly a 3-second gap right now over Jam, so he's continuing to really settle into a rhythm on this restart. His hard tyres a little bit older than the other hard runners, but not massively older. As he starts his 13th lap here on these tyres, 9th at racing speeds. Shane there with the fast step of the race on the back of Devils, but he's got Jam just in front of them as well. No moves being shaped up just at the moment. Then you see in the background there Stevie, Zainu, Joe Louis, there's Berza, Boubacar and Salates. You've got Elijah pretty close here as well. Devils here though hassling the back of Jam as they come now down the hill into this left-handed braking zone. He'll have a chance maybe to try and make a move with DRS as we see Jam there a little bit wide onto the curb there. Devils here with a bit of DRS getting closer and closer, a bit too far back there, going into that right-hander up the hill. Salates there moving ahead of Boubacar. Boubacar's, oh, he's had a moment there, that's why they've all got ahead of him there, but Boubacar dropping a load of places, coming out onto the back straight there. And what a shame there for him. And we've got another safety car because of that spin, I think. Just Here we are then, guys, moments away from the restart here for the Bahrain Grand Prix as we're at the end of lap 15, third safety car period. And we've done 6 laps currently of this race under the safety car, so hopefully we don't get any more safety cars. But looks like Abu Bakar retired for the race, retired from the race on the wet tyres. Anyway, right, into turn 1 we go. Jam into turn 1 in the lead. We've got Stevie Mack that looked to the inside of Shane, a little bit too far back to make that move, as we see the rest of them all piling through turn 1. Looks like they're all staying as they were for the time being. We've got Stevie Mack looking close on the back of Shane, down towards turn 4, just a little bit too far away, as I knew. Also looking pretty hot on the heels there of those guys battling over the podium places. Jam though starting to break away a little bit. Richie Chapper's put on the medium tyres now. Those will probably go to the end. The hard tyre runners who put those on 8 laps ago may have a chance to get into the end of the race now, because of the fact that they've done so few laps at racing speeds on those hard tyres. So potentially the hard tyre runners can go to the end. Richie Chapper is on fresher mediums, and it's, I mean Richie's going to have better tyres for the first part of this stint. Towards the end of this stint, his tyres are going to be starting to go off. So Richie Chapper, for the time being, is going to have an advantage here. But does he try and look after them and try and negate that advantage by just taking care of the tyres over the first part of this stint in order to be able to maximise them and not lose performance towards the end? Or does he just take everything out of them, try and make up the places, try and get the lead before his tyres start to go off? He's probably got about 10 laps to do it. He's got 8 places to make up. So Rich Chapper, if he wants to win this race, has got to get a move on here. But he has got a chance to do so. His first victim is going to be Nello. As here he comes then. Richie's going to make the move to the inside. And this is surely going to be job done here for the Williams driver. Into turn 1 he goes. And that is one driver, I think, dispatched maybe. He's going to have DRS now off the Mercedes in front of him as well to help him out. And he does get ahead. Devil's also looking to try and make the move there on Nello, and has done that one up into 9th place there. So Nello down 2 places in that one. Richie has picked off the first driver out of 7, or sorry, of 8 in his quest, I'm sure, to try and win this race here tonight. As we see Berza with a penalty. Rich Chapper's now got ahead of Elijah as well, up into 7th place. So he's absolutely cutting through this pack here on this restart so far as Rich Chapper. As we see Elijah now getting passed by Devils, as Devils there gets around him up into 8th place, and Elijah and Nello, the 2 Mercedes teammates, they're coming together as they came into the downhill left-hander. Now we go see Nello there making a move, or making a little feint to the inside, as we see Berza also having a look to the inside of Nello into that corner, but nothing doing there between those guys. But Richie into 7th place now can try and close up onto the back of the leaders. Jam and Shane have managed to break away a little bit from Stevie Mack on this restart. These two currently have the lead battle to themselves here out the front. And Richie is now already crawling all over the back of the Ferrari of Salates as they come down the start-finish straight over the line here to start lap 18. Here comes Richie Chapper then. In the meantime, we've got Shane here making a move for the lead of the race on Jam, and has made that move up into P1. We see Stevie Mack getting ahead of Zainu. Richie Chapper also getting ahead of Salates here up into P6. So moves happening everywhere right now. Stevie Mack and Zainu are still battling here as they come down towards turn 4. And Zainu's got the inside line. Stevie Mack's going to try and hang it around the outside and keep the momentum, but he can't do it. He's going to go for a cutback potentially if he can, but Zainu's alive to that one and gets that 3rd place in the bag there for the Alpine driver. Joe Louis here waiting in the wings. Richie Chapper has got ahead of Salates and can now try and close up onto this battle here for the podium places, but he needs to dispatch the likes of Zainu, Stevie Mack and Joe Louis quickly here so he can chase after Shane and Jam, who are a little way up the road. Richie Chapper really needs to make light work at this pack of cars who are all going to be fighting for their lives here for some very strong points here in this race, that is for sure. Richie having a little look to the inside of Joe Louis into that corner, a bit too far back. Devils also thinking about it there on Salates. He's managed to get well alongside and he's managed to make a move there and got ahead there of the Ferraris. Devils are up into 7th place with that one. Nice move there from him. Berza there getting ahead of Elijah around the outside. Lovely move there from Berza up into the points. But Richie here is looking pretty ominous here on the back of the Ferrari of Joe Louis. So come through the final corner, and now we got Stevie Mac sizing up Zainu as well. We're going to have potentially 2 overtakes here. Richie there's gone ahead of Joe Louis already before they even got to the DRS zone. Stevie Mac there making the move on Zainu as well. Richie now is going to try and knock Zainu while he's down here as they come into turn 1. He gets a little bit closer under braking. In the meantime, we've got Nello there dropping behind Berza and Elijah. Elijah's dropped behind both of them, and it seems to have made a mistake here as Dave there getting back ahead of Nello. Nello now dropping to the back of that quartet of cars. In the meantime, we got Joe Louis there moving ahead of Devils very briefly. Devils has got the inside here through this next sequence of corners and has managed to get that move back up into P6. Richie still hasn't managed to clear Zainu here in this battle for 4th place. Stevie Mac just at the front of this trio. Always nice Zainu a little bit deep there, and Richie couldn't really get a cutback. It's not really in a part of the track where you can capitalise on moments like that. If you run a bit wide, you can actually take more speed out of the corner. Yeah, obviously you don't take as much through the corner, but overall it balances out through wide parts of the circuit like that. But here comes Richie then with some DRS. Look at that straight line speed. He makes the move there easily on Zainu. Now he needs to make sure he can stay within DRS here on Stevie Mac through this next sequence of corners, otherwise he'll be vulnerable to the Alpine, and Zainu will be able to make the move back on him here down the straight. So he needs to get himself well within this 1 second barrier to the Haas driver, who's just up ahead of him here. But Richie has made good progress here on this restart. He's currently about 5 seconds off of the lead at the moment, so with work to do, but on these fresher medium tyres he's going to have a chance, but he needs to get rid of this Haas very quickly here, as Devils also close on Zainu, but Zainu's got good straight line speed by the looks of it. Also with the slipstream here off of Richie. Richie nowhere to be seen here on Stevie Mac, and he's having to defend here into turn 1 as he just didn't really seem to be getting much of a pull at all there on the back of Stevie. Holds on for 4th place here as they come down towards turn 4. Elijah's now retired from the race. No safety car this time. The safety car is not deployed. Devil's now looking down the inside of Zainu, and is he going to have this move done? I think he may well do. Zainu has to tuck in there because Devils has got himself well ahead there going into that corner. So Richie still ahead of these guys, but Devils now up into P5. But Stevie Mac has got Richie crawling all over the back of him right now, and is going to be looking to make this move, I'm pretty sure, very shortly. But what happened down the straight there, because Richie seemed to have nothing down that part of the track. He's got a bit of DRS here again to try and get that little bit closer here to Stevie. He's not really close enough at the moment. Stevie seems to have good straight line speed. I think that's probably what's keeping him in good stead here. But Richie's going to try and creep that little bit closer once again here as they come through the final few corners here on lap 20 of the race. 9 laps left to go here for the Bahrain Grand Prix for the Torque Titans Racing League Tier 3. Shane and Jam still fighting out. This could be to Richie's advantage if these guys continue to fight each other. They may slow each other down, but Richie needs to clear Stevie, and he needs to do it now. If he doesn't do it now, he's basically, I think the win's gone. So here comes Richie on the back of Stevie Mac. It's going to make the move here into turn 1 on the inside, and that's going to be job done here now for the Williams. As Stevie trying to go for a cutback here. Does Richie get a good exit here? He does. Now he's parked his car nicely in the way there. Is he going to have enough momentum to stay ahead here down towards turn 4 as we see Stevie looking to the outside with DRS. Richie's just got to cover that inside line and get a good exit here, and he's going to do that nicely there as Richie. And look at this, Devils here trying to get involved up the inside here of Stevie Mac, and manages to capitalise beautifully there. Devils back up into 4th place and manages to knock Stevie while he's down there as he loses 2 places in the space of a couple of corners. But Richie now into 3rd place, well within 5 seconds of the lead. Potentially could get Jam on the penalties anyway, but if Jam can fight Shane, and that's going to be looking very good here for Richie, because that'll slow both of them down and potentially bring this man into the fight for the win in the last few laps of the race. But fair way to go yet here at Bahrain. Richie currently 4.5 seconds off of the lead on the faster tyres, albeit that advantage is going to be withering over the course of this stint because he's on the less durable medium tyre. But at the moment you're definitely better on him to have the pace over these guys, as this gap to Devils is respectable. He might just be out of threat here. I know obviously Devils will have DRS, but he's not. I don't think he's close enough to make a move. He's certainly close enough to give Richie a bit of a headache, but he's not close enough to make a move. As they come down towards turn 1, Richie's going to hold on to that one quite comfortably here. Shane almost got the gap over a second to Jam at that previous point. I think that Jam's just about kept onto the DRS here, and will continue to get that rear wing to help him get that a little bit closer here to the back of the Williams. But at the moment, these two bossing things, and Richie's actually falling back off of his teammate here. He's lost a bit of time to him over the course of the last lap. Stevie Max got a 3-second penalty here for track limits as well. Not too many track limits tonight, but a fair few. 5 out of the 12 that remain have picked up at least one penalty. I don't know if anyone's picked up more than one. We'll have to see that a bit later on towards the end of the race. But at the moment, there are the two leaders separated by just under a second. There's Richie and Devils, Stevie Max, INU with Joe Louis, Salates, Berza, Dave there running in P10, followed by Carl and Hatsu Maku there running in P12. But Richie's closed the gap over the course of this lap. It's now down to 4.2, so he has really made gains here over the course of this lap. Devils is coming with him. But what are these two got in the locker compared to Shane and Jam, who are going to be on very worn out tyres by the end of this race? Obviously, a lot of these laps that they've done have been on under safety car. They'll have to do 22 laps altogether, but only 18 in terms of racing laps, because so many of them have been done under caution. It's Richie just about, I think, safe here to Devils. Although saying that, Devils going to have DRS again here down towards turn 4. He's going to get that extra speed here, but just a bit too far away. And Richie's going to hold on for that one for the time being. But if these two, Shane and Jam, start fighting, it's going to bring Richie and Devils into play. A treat here. I'm sure those guys will be more than happy for the two up front to start squabbling. Got Berza there making a move to the inside, or trying at least there on the back of Salates, but just can't quite get in range there. As Devils here is closing up onto the back of Richie in this fight for third place. Devils having a little look to the inside of Richie there into turn 1, but just a bit too far away. Berza also getting her Salates there into turn 1. So Berza up into 8th place now. Dave a bit too far away there on the back of Salates going into turn 4. Oh, it's in the distance there. You just saw the V-carb of Berza going for a dive up the inside of Joe Louis. And unfortunately, those two have both come off quite badly in that one. Joe Louis slightly worse. Berza went for a very speculative move there from the onboard there from behind. It looked like it was probably Berza that was at fault there for being a bit too ambitious with that one. Whether or not onboard footage or alternative angles will give us a different narrative on that one, I'm not sure. But from that point of view, it definitely looked like the move wasn't on. As Zainu's putting pressure here on the back of Stevie for P5. We've got Salates and Dave and Carl also in hot pursuit at the moment in that fight for P5. Richie Chapper and Devils both chipping away at the two leaders, Shane and Rajam, but not by enough, I don't think, to really be enough of a threat here to these guys for the race win. I would say at this point they're probably out of that fight for the time being. As Devils here trying to make the move on Richie, and this is going to slow both of them down and prevent either of them from winning the race at this rate. But Devils there getting around the outside. Who's going to have DRS? Devils going to have DRS, so that's going to just cement his position here in third place. So that's job done there for Devils. Now is he going to be the one to take the mantle and try and chase after Shane and Jam? I think that these two battling, Devils and Richie, it's going to only allow the two up front to skip off into the distance here, to be perfectly honest with you. I reckon these two are battling for the final spot on the podium, to be perfectly honest with you. But Shane, I tell you what, seems to have checked out the front, and maybe it's going to be a three-way fight for second place, because Jam seems to be struggling a little bit on the tyres. Shane seems to have looked after his very nicely, but Jam dropping back into the clutch of the Devils, and Richie here only 2 seconds now ahead of the Sauber. But Shane enjoying life out the front with just 4 laps left to go here, just over, here at the Bahrain International Circuit, or the Secure International Circuit. I think both, I'm not quite sure, but anyway, Zainu here still attacking on Stevie Mack as they come out of the final corner, and he's going to get a nice run here, and he'll get DRS as well, as he's going to get in closer and closer and closer. Here comes Zainu. Stevie just far enough ahead here into turn 1, it's going to hold on comfortably in that one. We got a few potential battles here. Carl looking pretty close on Salates at the moment. Zainu is going to have a chance here on Stevie down towards turn 4. Well alongside, slightly, just almost like he was slightly ahead there into the braking zone, but Stevie Mack there much later on the brakes and managed to hold on to that one. Carl in the background here still trying to make the move on Salates, but still can't quite get himself in the position to do so. Zainu still attacking all over the back of Stevie in these closing laps of the race. Joe Louis sizing up Hatsune Miku in this fight for 11th place with a bit of DRS looking to the outside. Hatsune Miku driving his lines, doing a decent job. Both of these guys on very worn out tyres. Joe Louis might be well advised here to wait for the DRS zone in a moment. Zainu here still on the back of Stevie Mack in the fight for P5 as they're now coming down the straight once again. But Stevie Mack getting a lovely drive off the final corner and has left Zainu for the dead there as they came over the line, and is comfortably ahead here at the moment into turn 1. Zainu too far back to go for a lunge there into turn 1. As here comes Joe Louis on the back of Hatsune Miku, looks to the inside, and it's going to be an easy move there for the McLaren into P11. And that's job done there on the inside. Oh, maybe not actually, because the Ferrari's doing a good job here of keeping it. I wonder if Joe Louis was playing a tactical game with the DRS there. No, he wasn't, because Hatsune Miku's got it. So Hatsune Miku's back to the inside. Joe Louis is going to have to concede this one unless he goes for a cutback. He can't do it because the Ferrari there timed his turn in quite nicely. Saying that though, he got a bit of a horrendous exit there, but Joe Louis unable to punish him for that one, and Hatsune Miku is up into P11, or back up into P11. Having looked like he'd lost it a moment ago. Devils is making a move on Jam here for second place, and is going to have better grip there on the inside. 6 lap fresher hard tyres there for the for Devils there, for the pole sitter from tonight. But Shane's been the man ever since the beginning of the race. Has controlled it from the front. Has always looked like the one in control, apart from the brief second safety car, but ordinary service was resumed after the final safety car, and Shane looking like it's going to be a comfortable win here in the end. But Jam's not done here on Devils, as he now looks back to the inside and breezes past him before we even get to the braking zone, and Jam is back up in second place on those slightly more worn out tyres. These two battling can potentially bring Richie Chapper into it, but Richie on those 14 lap old mediums seems to be struggling a little bit now. I think those hard tyres are probably going to be in a better state than what Richie's mediums are at this stage in the race, as we see Devils all over the back of Jam. Those fresher tyres are going to come in handy, but we know how strong the DRS is. If you're in the right place at the right time, you can make inferior tyres work against better tyres quite easily. Devils here getting closer to the back of Jam once again as they come into the corner down the hill. Devils once again with a bit of DRS here. Down towards the end of the little straight. Has a little look there, does Devils. But not in a position to do much there. Stevie Mack's got Zainu, Dave, Carl, Berza, Salates right there with him there. Shane still holding the lead at the moment by just over 2 seconds over Jam. But Shane here starts the final lap of the race. The gap 2 seconds as Devils a little bit too far back on Jam to make the move into turn 1. Richie running all by himself there in 4th place is definitely out of that fight. Devils though has managed to get ahead of Jam. Jam I think got a horrible exit there coming out of turn 2 and down out of 3 towards 4. It looks like Devils is well ahead of him here. Richie is potentially going to be closing up onto Jam here, but I think is a bit too far away, and also Richie's tyres are also seemingly a little bit shot at this point. Stevie Mack's got Dainu and Dave, Carl and Berza as well, all in close proximity here. Berza has just dropped back a bit through those few corners there. But Stevie Mack's still got a fight on his hands here for 5th place, with 5 of them pretty much in a line here at the moment. Could be 6 of them, but time's running out here for Salates to get involved in this action. Dave is potentially looking to eye up and move here on Zainu. Zainu's not going to have DRS here on Stevie. This could give Dave a chance, but he's a bit too far back going into the corner, and he's gonna, well, he's not going to make the move now, surely not. But in the meantime, Shane's coming through the final few corners here of the lap here at the Secure International Circuit for the Bahrain Grand Prix here at the Talk Titans Racing League 4 Tier 3 for round 5 of this 13 round season for season 3. Shane out of the final corner is going to hold off Devils, who came on a bit of a late charge towards the end there, but Shane takes the win ahead of Devils in second. Jam over to complete the podium, although Richie Chapper gets the podium on the penalties there. Richie 3rd, Jam 4th, Stevie Mack over in P5, Zainu gets 5th action on the penalties there with Dave 6th, Carl 7th, Stevie Mack drops to 8th place there with the penalties. Salate's 9th ahead of Berza, who finishes in the final point there in P10. Joe Louis crosses the line in 11th, and Hatsu Makul will be the last driver over the line to finish in 12th place. But well done to Shane there on taking the win, and it was a very well controlled race there from Shane. Never looked too much in doubt there, to be honest with you. It was definitely the most consistently quick driver out there tonight. So Shane there from 2nd on the grid, front row, and making it work absolutely brilliant there. Well done to him, and thanks to the Talk Titans Racing League as always for having us. Oh sorry, Shane was on pole. Devils was 2nd. I don't know what the hell I was looking at there. I think Devils was leading at the end of the first lap maybe. Oh, goodness knows. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, Shane taking the win, Devils 2nd, and Richie completing the podium. Thanks to the drivers for putting on a great show as always, and thanks to the Talk Titans Racing League for having us. And we'll see you all for the next one. I'm not sure if it'll be at the end of this year or if it'll be in the new year. I don't know if they run during the Christmas season, but if they do, then excellent. If they don't, then I'm going to be very bored next week. But anyway, thanks everybody, and we'll see you all soon.